Yeah. So restart the session. Okay. So going back to the session. Right. So if you see, this is a rough picture of the manufacturing process line. You see, whatever I call the glass loader and all. These are the different stages actually. Glass loading, encapsulating, tapering stage, auto busing, manual busing, gear image, laminating, edge filming, connection box loading, plotting, and all. This is the line you just. Okay. Now, once the module is made, you can't sell it as a right. So to sell the module, it has to be passed some test. And I told you that we have right now the industry is offering 25 to 30 years of warranty, right? So on what basis this warranty is divided? 25 or 30 years of warranty. It is nothing but doing the life cycle test of a solar PV modules. And here that for any PV module, there are some tests specified by the IEC 61215 standards to pass and to get into the market. If you see in real-time environment, there may be changes in temperature, there may be changes in humidity, and there may be changes in climatic conditions as rainy or else hailstorms may come. So there may be salt, there may be corrosion of the frames and all. So in order to validate all these conditions, say IEC has set up some standards for the PV modules, which is nothing but IEC 61215 standards. So in these standards, these are the different tests which we perform on the module. Okay. One is nothing but hotspot test, thermal cycling chamber test, damping test, humidity freeze test, UV preconditioning test, and mechanical load test. So what is the need for doing this test is to know the degradation of the solar module. To know the degradation of the solar module. Okay. So in this aspect, Vari Energies is having a high equipped testing laboratory which is certified by NAB. Okay, and these are the testing laboratories in India which is TV Railway Bangalore, Intertech Bangalore, BTH Delhi, and this is in USA, PBEL, Photovoltaic Evolution Laboratory, and UL Laboratories in Bangalore, and MITSI in Ahmedabad. These are the agencies where they do these tests and certify the modules. And certify the module. And roughly, if you see thermal cycling, what happens in thermal cycling is, see, these are the standards. Apart from those, number this, these are the different standards development test criteria for the solar PV models. If you see, design qualification is 61215 standard, and safety qualification is 61730. Sulfur is ammonia corrosion, potential agents for degradation, sand and dust coverage. These are different standards. Okay. So before going into the standards, once a module is made, to know the actual capacity of the module, if I am telling 500 watt peak module, it is under specific conditions. What is the condition? Standard test conditions. Standard test conditions means if you see a module, label will be there at the bottom, right? As if nameplate details for any machine, you know that nameplate label of the module. So if you see the label, they will be mentioning the watt peak, their own company name, watt peak of that, VMP, IMP, VOC, ISC, right? So this labeling of the watt peak is decided by this chamber test. This is a chamber actually. Okay, it is termed as sun simulator. It is termed as sun simulator. Right now, to get 500 watt peak module, I can't take my module outside and keep it in sunlight and test for there, right? So instead of that, they have made a sun simulator, which is termed as sun simulator, where the standard test conditions are simulated in the simulator, where halogen lamps are there in that, which is supplying 1000 watt per meter square STC condition, and the temperature maintained is 25 degrees centigrade. 25 degrees centigrade. So under that condition of flashing, it is termed as flasher. FLASHER, flasher. So when the module is passed on to that, it is a dark room where 1000 watt per meter square and 25 degrees centigrade is maintained over there. The module goes inside it, and flash is given out to the module, and data is captured from there, and it will be loaded into the software. It will be loaded into the software. So this is termed as flasher. It is termed as flash. So based on that flasher readings, suppose if it is a 500 watt peak module, sometimes you get 500, 498, 501, based on the accuracy of the machine, right? So once it comes from the sun simulator, based on the output power, they will be grading the modules based on the output power, whether it is 490, 495, 500, or 505, 510 in that. So these are the IEC standards, which is performance at low irradiance. Means right now you might get it out, sir, night time what happens to the module, whether it is able to generate or not. Right? The night time almost irradiation is, you can tell it as 0. So IEC has specified that low irradiance as 2000 watt per meter square. Means, see, when you are developing a product, you need to see that the worst condition of that also, right? As well as the highest condition, as well as the worst condition. So how the module behaves not only at 1000 watt per meter square STC, as well as under low irradiance also, how it is able to generate. And the other thing is outdoor exposure test. See, suppose if a student is there or he might be good in academics. He might be scoring 95 or 100 out of 100 in academics. But once he's going into real time, a job or an industry, situations will be different, right? So how he is able to handle that atmosphere outside once he comes out of the college, that is similar to an outdoor exposure test. So once a module or product is done, when it is exposed to real time situation, how it is behaving actually. It is termed as outdoor exposure thing. Just place it in the module outside. Okay. Again, after few kilowatt hour exposure, take it inside and again flash it and see the output power and observe the degradation. What amount of degradation is there from initial to after? And next is bypass diode thermal test. I told that 3 bypass diodes are there, right? So thermal test. What happens to this bypass diode is whenever there is a shading onto the module, it generates huge amount of the module gets heated up, and these bypass diodes gets heated up. The junction of the bypass diode gets heated, so that withstanding capacity will be tested by this bypass diode thermal test. And next is hotspot endurance test. Means intentionally few cells will be covered onto the module and they will be absorbing the temperature of the module under this condition. Next, UV preconditioning test. See, ultraviolet radiation. The light contains UV radiation, right? So, how the module behaves under this ultraviolet radiation? So, this UV contains two components. One is UVA and UVB. UVA and UVB. Same, right? The main thing is when you are buying a product, you'll be asking a number of questions, right? Whether that is good, this is good, whether I take there, how it will be behaving. A number of questions will be asking, right? So in the same way, when a particular customer is going to install some 100 megawatt of plant, he needs to consider all these conditions. Means firstly, the site condition, site atmosphere, everything they need to consider. Based on that, they need to purchase this solar modules from the vendor, right? So, how this UV radiation will be more in some areas, UV radiation will be less in some area, right? So, how the module behaves under this UV radiation, that is determined by this UV preconditioning test. See, these are all nothing but, sir, how will we determine it? Here, there will be a chambers like this, means some 5 feet by 5 feet chambers will be there, where this real-time UV lamps will be there at the top, and this UV lamps, UV radiation is exposed onto this module section. And these modules are exposed up to 60 kilowatt hour per meter square. Means for one single UV test, it takes almost 15 days. So they will be placing that module into the chamber, they will be closing it, and they will be programming that UV, whatever UVA, UVB percentages into the lights, and the module will be continuously exposed to them. And after that, 15 days they will be removing the module and they will be flashing. And what IEC suggests is, whether good or bad module is, after test and prior test, just see the power what it generates and see the power degradation. If it should not be more than 5%, it should not be more than 5%. If it is more than 5%, it says that it has failed in the test. This is suggested by IEC. Suggested by IEC for any test, whether it is UV preconditioning test, thermal cycling, damp heat, or any test. IEC suggested 5% degradation in the power. These are the equipments actually. If you see, this is nothing but the equipment. This is older equipment, now new equipments are coming. Humidity freeze test, where the humidity is maintained out there in the chamber and the module is exposed to it. And this humidity exposure, the programmed, see, everything is made as per IEC rules and regulations. Means the programming part, the variation, the humidity is made based on IEC standard 61215. 61215. This is thermal cycling chamber test. Okay, so what happens on this thermal cycling test is, the module will be exposed from minus 40 degrees centigrade to 85 degrees centigrade. There will be one single cycle. There is a single cycle which is of 5 hours duration, where the temperature is increased from minus 40 degrees centigrade to 80 degrees centigrade. Again, it stables for 10 minutes or there. Again, it falls down to minus 40. So this is a cycle which is taking around some 5 hours duration specified by AICTE. So these environmental chambers will be programmed in that way to increase or decrease the temperatures. And the module is placed on that, and the module is exposed to these variations in temperature. So once the module is, and this variation in temperature, 200, again, thermal cycle, 200 cycles is specified by IEC. So 200 into 5, 1000 hours. So 1000 hours takes almost 43 or 45 days to complete this one test. And now IEC is also saying that one cycle is not sufficient to identify. So they are repeating this for 3 cycles. Means thermal cycling of 600 cycles. And they are observing the characterization at each and every stage. Means 200 cycles, 400 cycles, 600 cycles. As if your semester exams and exams at each and every stage, characterization means take the module of 200 hours. How to identify the difference? See, when there is a difference in the temperature, the glass may be broken in, right? Because of brittleness in it or change in temperatures. Glass may have an effect. The EVA, which is inside the glass, may have an effect, right? The frame may have an effect. So what happens is, after that 200 cycles, they will remove the module. Visually, they will place around 1000 lux. They will visually see any defects onto the module, and they will do wet leakage test. Means they will dip this module in water for 2 minutes, and they will observe the leakage resistance. If there are any leakage paths or leakage currents. Next, they will be doing flashing of the module. They will be doing flashing of the module, mainly to know the power. Now they will calculate the degradation in the power. Initially, how much it is. After the test, how much it is. It should not be more than 5 hours. And also, the main important thing is they will do EL imaging at every stage after the test, because the defects in the modules can't be, all the defects in the module can't be visually, we can't see the visual defects actually. We can't see all the defects visually. That's the reason at each and every characterization they will be doing this private leakage test, visual inspection test, EL imaging test, and flashing for every test. And this is damp heat test. Here the relative humidity may be constant, and ability for the module to withstand the effects of long-term penetration of humidity. This is the one more main important test of a solar PV module. Means in real time, when you are installing a module, the installation people don't know how to handle those. Means there will be some workers, right, who is to install it, who is to place the modules. They will be applying some pressure on the modules actually. Point load pressures will be applied onto the module. So when there is point load, if I hanging like this, the glass may be broken, right? So in that way, there is a wrong handling of the modules. And sometimes to clean the modules, people are even walking onto the modules, if I'm not wrong. They are walking onto the modules. So this is the test, and there are pressures applied at different points onto the module. So to know whether the module is able to withstand those pressures onto the module, they are doing this dynamic mechanical load test. Means the module is applied with pressure on both top and bottom as well. The pressure suggested is 5400 pascals on the top and 1600 pascals on the bottom. This is done for 1 hour duration. 1 hour duration. And here, if there is any breakage onto the module, visually you can observe it. Visually, you can observe it. And again, the same thing, flashing the module. taking the power and knowing the degradation. This is one more hail impact test, which is mainly in European countries or American countries. If you see there, the possibility of hailstones, in the sense, Telugulo Vadagalu in the sense, small hailstones. So when they are falling from so much height, it comes with huge velocity and will be hitting the module. So IEC have suggested what happens over here is you'll be having ice balls of 25 mm diameter, 35 mm diameter, 45 mm diameters. And this, if you take a 25 mm diameter, the suggested criteria is it should be hitting the module with 27 meters per second velocity, which is placed at 1.2 meters from the module. Module will be placed over here like this. There will be a chamber where the hail is placed into that, and suddenly by pressure it will be hitting onto the module like this. Just as if in the environment, how it is coming and hitting on the module. And there are 11 locations, weaker locations onto the module. See, if you consider a module, these corners may be less affected, right? Or weaker locations. So there are 11 locations specified by the IEC, and these hails will be focused on the modules. And again, criteria power degradations or weathering visually, you can see what are the defects onto the modules. See, therefore, I have told you 25 of diameter with velocity of, I think this is not 17, it is 27 meters per second. Okay, so this is what about testings of the solar PV modules. Testings of solar PV modules. And right now, because based on the technological advancements, I have told you UV they are doing up to 60 kilowatt hour per meter square. But right now it is increased to 180 kilowatt hour per meter square. Okay, and more companies are coming in future, or almost it has come. Now in future, also some 10 or 15 years, solar is vastly increasing. If I want to tell, can anyone tell me what are the solar company names? You know, at least only the names I know. Whatever you know, solar manufacturing industries in India. Tata, Reliance. For any manufacturer, you can make Tata, Reliance, or Adani, right? They are default. They are default manufacturers. Or any other companies. I think you don't know reduces until unless I come over here. Even I don't know until unless I join reduces. Vikrant, Wari. Vikram, no, Vikrant, it is Vikram actually. Wari. Goldie. Right. So if I'm not sure, if I want to tell in Hyderabad, there are two huge suppliers of solar PV models. One is Renesis India Private Limited, and the other one is Premier Energies, which is based in electronic fashion. And Renesis is having a plant over here as well as in Mumbai, where modules are over there, and encapsulating plant they are having in Bangalore. Okay. So here the installed capacity of module is around some 3 gigawatt, and in Mumbai they are having some 2 gigawatt module, and cell they are having 1 gigawatt of cell capacity. Whereas Premier, if you see, Premier Energies, they are having module capacity of some 5 gigawatt, and cell capacity they are having more. And if there are electrical students or electronic students, I would like to suggest that there is huge scope for solar cell actually. Apart from module, solar cell, if you want more into that, the semiconductors and solar cell has future of some 10 to 15 years or 20 years. You'll be an hotcake if you are into solar cell manufacturing. Sir, module is okay, but solar cell professionals are very less in India. So if you can concentrate more on semiconductor materials and solar cell manufacturing, you will be a hotcake. And apart from this, in India, we are having many other companies. Raison Solar, I think you might be knowing it. Avada, Vikram, I think Sagar told. MV Solar, which is based in Bangalore. Yeah, I think you have told Golding.
Sorry to stop this, but
Yeah.
I have so basically, what in my knowledge is, we have only solar cell module manufacturers in India. Probably solar cell manufacturers are not present somewhere else.
That's what previously I told. Right now, Maruti is also producing solar cell actually. But it is not from the raw material which is silica actually. They are importing this wafers and they are producing the cells. But not from the ingot wafers. They are getting the wafers from China and they are producing the solar cells. But I don't know, I want to tell you this or not. We are unable to reach the efficiencies of Chinese manufacturers.
Yes.
The solar cell capacities of efficiencies, we are not able to reach that. Maybe that's the reason I'm telling that solar cell is having more future than module. Many of the companies are coming with solar cell manufacturing yet. Solar cell manufacturing units you can see in the Google also, many of the companies are coming in future. And even if I'm not sure in Sangarity, Penna Industries is coming with solar cell as well as module manufacturing unit. They might be starting in another 2 or 3 months. And if I am not sure, 2 more plants have been started in Hyderabad. 2 more plants have been started in Hyderabad, Junna Solar, and they are small enterprises actually. Frontier Energies and Junna Solar. Making a module manufacturing right now, it is so easier, but cell manufacturing is not so easier actually. Cell manufacturing is not so easier to catch the efficiencies of Chinese manufacturers. And one small important point. While you are placing the cells, I told you right. So when the solar cells are placed onto the module during the manufacturing process, in order to make the cells completely on that, they will be using tapes, small tape. White tape is there, right? Usually we used to keep tape, right? They will be using tapes to fix the cells in that position actually. Roughly at some randomly positions, they will be fixing small tapes. Do you know that even the tape we are exporting from China? Sorry, importing from China, if I am not wrong. So you people might be getting a doubt, why not a small tape from China? And all this automation, this barcodes or scanners will be there, right? During this automation process. Usually termed as RFI, radio frequency identifiers. Even they also we are importing from China. Right now, the situation is changing actually. If I am not sure, by 2026 July 1st, recently I have heard in news that if anyone wants to install a solar PV module, the raw material should be from India. Even from starting, a small tape to solar cell or glass, everything should be made from India. And those modules are named as DCR modules, domestic content requirement. Domestic content requirement, DCR modules. You might saw, someone might have seen the news actually. DCR modules. Right now, till now, whatever we have done it is import from raw materials, assemble it, make the module, sell it. But in future, definitely India is progressing. Mainly, I think you might be knowing it or not, Reliance is coming with huge plant in Jamnagar for glass manufacturing, frame manufacturing, and capsule manufacturing. And even AICTE-VAANI is coming with 5,000 crores of investment in Orissa with huge manufacturing of battery, inverters, solar cell, and capsuling frames to make this DCR models, domestic content requirement models. So hope so the sessions might have given you some information about not 100%, not even 50%, even if 10% information is also fine from my side, I think. Okay. So if at all, if any doubts, if you are having it, you can post in my LinkedIn. You can type as Dongara Ramesh, DYGARA, RAMESH. You can connect in my LinkedIn. You can have any doubts if you are having it regarding this solar manufacturing side or else any power electronics regarding electrical engineering or any other thing. Okay, right. And I'd like to thank the management for giving me this opportunity. Especially, I'd like to thank Sarupa Madam for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for this presentation. Now I request our different department handling, Surya Madam, Swarupa Ma'am, Rajesh sir, and Prakash Reddy sir, Professor of Physics Department, to participate our class. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming here on the way from your native place and for accepting our request. Now we'll move to the next session. Now we have our next speaker for today's session. Prakash Reddy sir, Lakshmi Narayana sir. Now I'd like to introduce sir. Sir, PhD in TSA department. He is Professor, College of Engineering, Andhra University, Visakhapatnam. He is Regional Officer, Northwest Regional Office, All India Council for Technical Education, Chandigarh. Assistant Director at R&D Planning for All India Council for Technical Education, AICTE, New Delhi. Assistant Director, MBA, All India Council for Technical Education, AICTE, New Delhi. Principal Scientist in CSIR, NIO, Visakhapatnam. Sir has different fellowships, different fellowships in Bangalore, AICTE, and senior IEEE member, and he has published many papers in IEEE journals, conferences, and international national journals. We have professional member for in the international IEEE Vizag session branch. I request Vikan Madam to handle the it's a privilege to have you here, sir. Now I request sir to start the session. First later, sir. This.
Tall right. I was just speaking, I am in between your lines and it will take much time. But I will be now speaking. Let us talk together. And these are the programs what AICTE gives for us for the teacher.
Teacher.
This time,
Left.
start. Okay. Yeah. Basically, it's a kind of a funding for purpose of one program. I friends advocacy for advancement of education, nurturing the Indian languages.
It is nothing but giving money for the people, institutions, etc. For purpose of saying knowledge what is there in English or any other language to become to be transferred to our Indian language, 22 Indian language. That helps in penetrating to the down levels. That means suppose you somebody knows in Telugu, they can now say something in their house. Children can understand, their neighbors can understand. This is the purpose mostly they pay around 4 crores for that. The economic everybody we are also for technical education. Receive actually wages योजना अपडेटिंग संस्करण पति शिक्षाएं भारतीय भाषा में प्रचार भारतीय that is in Sanskrit, what I spoke today. Today I just broadly speak about data science, applications, and parent prospects for this, which is basically title of this today lecture. I didn't change anything on that. Space. Now, let us see what is data science. It is nothing but a interdisciplinary field of statistics, algorithms, and machine learning. I'll give you a couple of examples what you will get daily feeling about that. But let me go to a few slides on that. And the other part is that we have a lot of data. Just now we had a talk by some summary, we really collects the 600 degrees data, 800 degrees data. Those data need to be analyzed, should be really the insights should take it, the real value should take, the purpose should take it. The importance of data should take. Not all data is not useful. That's the reason that we need to really collect huge data. Now, why would this was not done earlier? Now why we are doing? 40 years back, nobody did it. 30 years back, nobody did this. But why we are doing now? What made us to do this? Previously, data collection was difficult, data storage was difficult, data analysis was difficult. For example, running a computer program, a analysis program used to take us really 1 hour time in good days when I was studying. Today, 1 lakh time of programs can be run even in the cloud system within a matter of a few hours. I think they will conduct cancer exam. Most of them might have checked out. Maybe all of them might have. There will be lack of people in the writing the exam, more than a lakh. But the results giving, they take nearly 20 days or 15 days, something like that. They are OCR reader values. What they give is OCR. If you give the mission, it gives you more of the answers and within 4 hours. They do that. They hold them. If the entire exam is done today, if they give it results tomorrow, entire Telangana will say something happened. Trust was not developed on emissions bias. Those speeds, accuracies are done there. This is developed in the last decade. Therefore, the data science kind of a thing was really key. I'll give you one more example today. If you most explain some of you maybe from village, a farmer will tell tomorrow rain will come. And rain really comes. But today, I am in the department who is some crores of spending. They have a huge data from a number of places, but their accuracies are very many times. The reason is not very useful. They have some kind of modes, maybe in NCR and one is there in the state. They are data having voice kind of things. They are there a 200 kilometers one data boy we have in India. Whereas in a city like Atlanta, they have water. Means that much data they will analyze and do the result. That's why in case you see in US, 432 rain starts, 512 rain stops there. The same application we are also using here. We are not able to do that because we do not have that much data. That is the importance of the data, huge data requirement is there. There can now today keeping the data in the huge quantity is not difficult. That's why we basically see that.
Maintenant, c'est bon, qui le médecin qui il y a une section genre et dire the shape should the same we show you that the gate. In that the gender and some highly conditional way the
Now, what we understand is that data science, big data are growing a lot. Many people confuse data science and big data. This is not both are not the same subjects, both are not similar outputs they give it.
Nella montagna era sovente sempre scelgono santi e scelgo questo per la serie.
What exactly data science is? See, basically, we basically look for what it gives to us. One important thing the data science gives to is that it gives the improved decision making. In any case, if you take a data science application and algorithm, it gives a betterment than the previous decision what you have taken because of you applying a lot of data. I'll give a small example. For example, you might have said when you join in LKG or UKG, you are not being tested, your father and mother were tested. Am I right? They are being asked 3 questions, they answer the questions, and you got a seat. Well, it was not there 10 years back or 20 years back. They used to give the seats to them. Now, what are the data they are collecting from their parents? And they are allocating a seat. It is a better decision or not a better decision? These are the things what basically they see. They really fundamentally see whether the parents can pay the fees, they can afford to have a car, they can afford to really send it in time. These are the parameters, indirect parameters, they want the school's reputation. Therefore, that kind of data they collect, where 20 years down the line, people's mindset was not that. Therefore, today mindset is different. Thinkings are different. Therefore, we need to see collect the data in that direction. And we see one more important thing is that I use the word called patterns here. That really makes a sense in data science use. Suppose if a particular student doesn't come to college for 10 days, continuously or anything there, or any group movie is reading the field doesn't come that day. Then if the pattern is proved at least 20-40 times in the first year or second year, third year we can easily say, today the movie is releasing, this will be not shown. That means the pattern will be recognized. That maybe the student may come on that day, no doubt on that. But depending upon the pattern, one really identify. And you see, basically, if you get a marks, take an example also. If you get a good marks right from first standard, so why people will ask first class in 10th class, first class in intermediate, first class in degree, and first class in MSc, and take something like this for jobs. Honestly speaking, these marks will not help you to get a job anywhere, or these marks will not be applied for a job. Why they ask these marks is the consistency, the pattern, what really your job today to study. Then the output of your study is your marks. How consistent you are, what is the pattern of your marks, this that your continuous marks will get. Sometimes you later on it fail, degree first class, 10th class first class. What happened? Immediate question the HR people ask, why did you fail? What is the pattern? Why you are backlogs on this very bad answer? These are things that they really see about patterns. That means how that is moving. If you take x-axis and y-axis, so they see different parameters will appear now, not one parameter. Maybe marks, maybe attendance, maybe regularity, maybe discipline, maybe sincerity, maybe loyalty. These are various parameters people see to really find the pattern. That was the reason that many cases that even though we really qualified the technical exam and replacements, all these things, at the end, the figure, if you go 6 or 7 people, 2 into selected, for example, it's put 2 people. You, any one of you cannot identify why these 2 selected, why the other 4 is not selected. Typically, everybody is selected. And all the program skills, etc. selected. But 6 people or 7 people went for interview, 2 or 3 will select for final. We will be really confused. Why, what patterns he has seen is something different. Unfortunately, our education doesn't teach those things in classrooms. If they really taught those things in classroom, we very good. Maybe in due course of times we will do that. And these are things these are the really helps you in taking a decision. Suppose you take any small example. If some student comes every day, then you can expect he will come in today also. If he comes one day in advance any time, we will be confused. That means it is spiking or bad. It is spiking or bad. That way we can really identify which is really not correct and not realistic data, not correct data. Suppose somebody gets every semester 60 marks, immediately he gets 100 marks. Then the teacher will suspect whether he or she has copied or whether she or he knows the paper earlier. This kind of a backtracking will be done. Not because he wrote all the mark questions. The evaluation is given 100 marks. But still, why it was suspected? Because of the previous practice. That way, data science helps us to catch frauds also.
La conseguenza sessione di session che non c'è messo caro di la conseguenza della diciamo c'è sempre il conseguenza diciamo società conseguire.
Now, increase efficiency. What data science will increase efficiency? That means what happens? What is going to be efficiency? Somebody to speak on what is going to be efficiency? Performance. Then what is the difference between performance and efficiency? No two words are same. Doing that in shortest time is efficiency. In performance, the time is remote. Doing that. Alright? Yeah. That way we need to see what is the efficiency, how basically we can do. Suppose I am talking about an example. Suppose we are now talking about IMD kind of thing, suppose a rainfall where evenings of cyclone comes, somebody. If it is efficiently told at a particular place, heavy rain comes, that means low-lying areas people should be allotted. If you can tell in time, the NGOs, government, non-government organizations, all these media people, etc., go there and get ready. Now what is happening in case that is not known, after rainfall comes, after the landslide comes, after 10 people died, we are going to save the rest of it. That means we are not getting data accurately before that. If you see Kerala cyclones in the last decade, and that kind of things will not happen in many developed countries. That's the reason that why we call our system a developing country, not a developed country. Because we are not able to identify the problems what is coming tomorrow. You are really doing excellent. The problems what with us, what is really our forefathers face, what you doing good. But we are not able to predict something what is going tomorrow for the better environment. There we are very good. In case we address those questions also, we will be certainly a developing country. in the world. We can do that. Data science, they are basically gives contamination. And you can't say this also there. Because huge data is already there. Suppose in case I want to know whether a particular boy come to college or not. The what happened today, this is another 7,000 or 8,000 students are there. Principal or head of the department doesn't know each student face to face whether she comes or regularly comes. If the data is there, parent comes. Sir, my bachcha ko only 40 marks to got it. He is excellent to study with that girl, boy. You should give 100 marks like that. Then the head of the department principal will keep blank face because she or he doesn't have data to speak with the day. If she or he has data is there, she can say, totally classes happened 100, your boy attended only 40, out of 40, 20 you can make, 2 minutes happened, 1 minute only wrote, then marks are 5 out of 30, how do you expect 40? Then father will keep it. Then what happened, we got it later too, we can have a transparency, we can have a ready answer. Otherwise, what happened with the management or principal and head of the department? They will call somebody and get the things that I learned had. That means the efficiency of the army is also can be improved. I give an example of the college. There are hundreds of examples if you take industry and process, etc.
Anche facendo un battaggio per sostenere il soggetto e poi quali sono le cose che non più per processare che non si sono
Next one is personalization. That's what I would say. When you talk about personalization, what happens is suppose if you see when you really go for a shopping and buy something. Suppose when just now I am seeing a map in Hyderabad. People go to the malls and all these exhibitions, etc. Honestly speaking, you will not have a mind in his mind that I buy this. Unfortunately, we carry his wife also. Both will go to there and they buy all the things which is not wanted in your house. They bring back and they say it's very good to this. They know space. That is what has happened there. The item what we got is not being thought of by you because you do not have a kind of information to the husband or wife or kid or son or etc. Because we went there to pursue. In case there is a process that this is only required for us, tailor-made. Now things are suppose if you see big companies, they are making tailor-made cars also. If you want that I want a car like that, very good, very expensive. They are not standardized cost. Similarly, I think most of us might have seen the modular kitchens, what we there at home. They come to a house and see and the design and keep us, make us happy and do that. It is personalization. And what they show to you, such personalized people who really felt happy for last 1 lakh people of the last 20 years, they will show you stuff. That means they have the data. You can call this guy, sir, they are happy with my service. Therefore, please give an outcome. That way he makes a business more. How could he do that? He got a huge data with himself. It can be presented in a matter of seconds. Suppose if he comes to the house, suppose model kitchen, he wants to build it. You open doors at some Krishna, Garnet, Patia, I'll go to Signabad and country. He will not go. Who will go? He will not get on. If you can show it on this with the data, you will certainly get satisfied. That's why one can easily get some kind of a business software in the process.
Legal science applications in the substance this is and check with this check with the segment. Even the single stream starts to be
Predictive analysis. This is very important. What we need to see is that what is the output, what is tomorrow, what is the next thing. That is exactly. Can you predict what questions will come to exam? Huh? You can't predict? How? Huh? Previous exams. You see how unfortunate we are. That is what is happening. We are doing questions from previous question papers. Therefore, the students are able to predict. Suppose 5 4 is 6 years, we just deviate that kind of a formula. Questions will not be given, previous question like will not be given. Student cannot predict. That means this kind of things are happening, prediction is happening, because there is a system where we can predict. Parameters know. Previous 5 6 question papers will take answer it, then you certainly pass. Or first class will get. For examination. Same thing can be applied to anything. Suppose 35 degrees temperature, 30 degrees temperature, wind is 40, or moisture 80, rain comes. That means there is so many other parameters also are required to create certain things. That means the parameters are required more, data should be required more to give a predictive analysis, where data science is really makes us really happy in answering all these questions. And customer needs market trends. This is exactly market trends. I gave one more example. You go to a shop and go a kind of somebody buys a bread. Tell me what a fellow who bought a bread will buy again, will buy next job, you see, job, or whatever he buys. That is what happens. 100 people who bought bread, 95 people got job. Out of 95 people got job, 60 people got a job of 5 rupees, somebody got it for 100 rupees. The fellow, the shop fellow will keep tomorrow to attract more profit product there, not more purchase product. I'll give you a small another example. You go to the shop, ask the Coca-Cola, you know, what does the water cost? 20. Or next thing, some 30 or 40. Okay. 20 rupees bottles we are available. Go to Colgate toothpaste. Then the 100 grams toothpaste will not be available. 150 grams toothpaste available, 300 grams toothpaste. Why? Huh? Profit margin is less. Profit margin. Okay, that is one answer. But that is not the only answer. The profit margin they give more in these products, product than that, smaller product. But average consumption of the product, for example, Colgate toothpaste, per family, per home, they will have a statistics and they don't keep the smaller versions. And otherwise also what they do, they sell like this, the market business. You buy 10 of 150, I give 3 of 100 grams. He puts the equation to the short term. Even maybe in Hyderabad, something you get to go every shop, even if you go for type 2 cities, there are 20 rupees Coke is not available. They will give only less in number, or liter, 1 liter, they will sell there. That's where they make a lot of business. This means market trends and supply chain disruptions. The exactly maybe travel sales forward, maybe you are spending somewhere. Operation is itself. That's better. That is one of the things what exactly can apply to the data science problems here also. Fraud detection. How do we really see data science can really usefully improve fraud detection? How do we really see? Why we call online frauds are happening? Here you are saying every newspapers, or TVs, etc. Most of the time, the root cause goes to Nigerians or those countries. Why is it not like that? Indians also is part of online products. We don't say that only don't practice. Why you are not here? Because out of 100 in case you do your online parts, 80 are there, only 20 and only outdoor. Therefore, we say, fraud means immediately the police and etc. go to those who are the mindset will like that. Suppose a class is there, the teacher enters there, some noise comes, for example, the teacher easily identifies a particular 2-3 people, they are noise marks. How? Experience, previous data. This is how basically fraud detection can be made. That means what is the final conclusion in all these things is that you should have data, a large amount to predict correctly, to predict near to the correct. I can't say correct, near to the correct. To do how much data we need? The data is that is unlimited. Because you get more near to correct. Let's see more near to correct. That now we are in that phase where data science is dominating the decision making things in the industries, in marketing, in many fields. Data science is really taking a lead in the and you know that last week I forgot the slide I want to read. A fellow of MSc mathematics, I tried to has got I think you know that shifting bonds used in our that when the fellow shift from one place to other place, he gets a bonds. 800 crores he has got for shipping tickets. NASA, a data scientist. He is not an engineer. Remember, always for data science, tools are there, predefined tools. If you are really using a predefined tool, and you can use. What is the result output will be the same as the come. Then what is the specialty that when you use only you get a correct answer, and that gentleman use may not be near to the correct. Then we need to apply lot of other our intelligence, business intelligence, parameters are which you are giving the importance to that. I give an example of that, maybe in next few slides.
Translation background, translation in the translation and parcel being able to
Healthcare. This is exactly the area where data science is involved and many of us are very helpful. Today, if you go to the doctor, if you do some medicine, and you don't use that medicine, you first go and Google what the medicine is, what for it is, what is the background for that, what is the negative for that. Then only you start using, or you will question the doctor itself. Sir, you get some negative, this is answer. Then what happens? You see, the other day when I was in my family, my brother got some kind of an engineer at home. And we went to the doctor, we made a MRI, everything ready. We could not conclude. I asked ChatGPT. These are the symptoms, what would be the probable disease. It gave 5, 6, 8, 9 gave. 8, 9 and 5, 6 doctors told. Unfortunately, they did not mention is B vitamin deficiency. Immediately we made a test for 600 days. It resulted negative. That is less. We spent nearly 30,000 rupees before for MRI everything. How could that ChatGPT and anybody can give this that level? They have a large database, LLMs, then we may be studying, large databases, etc. We will study. These things we need to study and get the things much result to. And medical test, diagnosis, treatments, prevention, diseases, data science really help us a lot that way. Prediction. Tomorrow, earlier in what happened in case we have some cough and cold, your grandmother may have given a liquid with the now untasted liquid you can put in it. But today it's not like that. You have really developed a lot of medicines and you know what the cause. Maybe it is needed in solutions. Faster is good, but unfortunately we will do this one.
First, they say, well, we don't have more chickens about the same position of program in initial supplement. It has, yeah, with the same job, being about the security. Chickens up, we are check the security.
Marketing. This is one area where basically we need to see. Suppose in case you want to, like, you see, I'll tell you one more example. Today our college also getting the questions. Many students will come. They'll talk to the head department, principal, and with few students also. Suppose 100 students come to our college for admission. All 100 are joining with us. Why they are not coming? They came all the way, particularly this way, to come to this place. They have some fundamental knowledge about the college. But they are not going out of hand. You remember one more thing I tell you. The principal or somebody who is taking admissions. And the first two, 3 words, his experience is that this fellow will not join. If you go a shop, suppose for example, you go a shop, you want to buy a top. You ask about 5 colors, designs, etc. He will show. But the salesman know she will not buy. Then he will decrease the intensity of interest of showing the cost. How could she gain that kind of interest? Experience, data, previous things, what they did. That way, marketing will be really helpful in us. Data science really helps us in doing marketing. That means now you think what kind of data we need to store in realistic world. Is there any data not useful for us in future? Don't know what data is useful, what data is not useful. Remember 100 times, even today, I think the other day I said, Aadhaar card is being upgraded, new data is added. Why it was not done earlier, 10 years back? Why they are doing now? That means what they thought, by adding few more parameters to that card, they got lot of other benefits of analysis of the data for the benefit of the student, for the humankind that people are citizens. That way they thought these are the few kilometers we missed on the day, but we could, if we collect it, if it was something 20 years down the line, we can do some kind of evidence with this data. 20 years down the line, again they can somehow data to do for the next 2 years. They repeat the process. But fortunately, we need to see there is no data that is not too useful in the real sense. How best we can use is your thing. That means no place in your facility is not to be right. Everything should be right. This way of thing.
Said that I mean, much of this notion of God, they should see time, everything is said, with the thing that I put the things secretary. When I said, I mean, the way how we know, this is very much as we have assigned the people.
I use small example here. This is I took 4 students. I took the data. I took some 5 service marks, random marks. Now tell me this what you can do. What you can do. I want questions. I not results. What questions you can answer with that?
Who scored highest?
Ah.
Who scored highest in the each subjects?
You who score highest in subject. Very good. Next.
Who is the top in the class?
Who is the top of the class? Okay. Next. Which subject?
That particular subject, who got
Oh, got it. Okay. Next. Analysis of the who is younger, who is older. This is great. Nothing beyond that.
Subject is very lenient.
Subject lenient is not even in marks. It's still a student.
Teacher is very
Getting more marks also not student, teachers benefits, he may put more marks to everybody.
So some teachers are negative, some teachers are.
That doesn't reflect here.
Subject three.
Okay, the students are good there,
Yeah, both are there.
but that means that can't, there's some questions where which you cannot answer here. One question you can answer, results, age of the past students, average of the age of the past students, we can tell. Anything what you can tell, which is not directly can be seen here. What we can tell by seeing this data, directly you can't see. అందుకే క్లాస్ మార్కుల ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్తున్నాయి, ఇది ఇండస్ట్రీ ఎగ్జామ్ చెప్పచ్చు. How many are brilliant? How can you tell this? But with this data only we should tell. The teacher has to tell with this data only. But how can you tell that? Their data science plays a great role. How does it play? Now, as you said that some subjects are tougher, some subjects are weaker, some subjects are easier, some teachers are lenient, as some teachers are very tough. These are the various parameters we need to multiply with these marks, 0.1, 0.2, something like that, and make 1 mark for each student. Then make a scale, those who got more than 60 or more than 0.6, etc. Please on mark. Do you also agree? I think this question also I don't know. How can you say topper in the class? Who got highest? Practical. Who got total highest marks in a class? He is a topper. Is it? Rank number 1. Everybody agree? We got a tower. But my again my statement, class room we mark ఎక్కువ మార్కులు వచ్చిన వాడు ర్యాంక్ నెంబర్ 1 అవునా కదా? ఆ క్లాస్ కి ర్యాంక్ నెంబర్ 1 అవునా కదా? నో ఇంకా మరి చెప్పండి ర్యాంక్ వాట్ ఇస్ ద సచ్ ఆన్సర్స్ ఆన్
Based on knowledge, sir.
Is it charity or Hyderabad? Gives how the ranks of is given.
The ranking system is like what the written is given from the textbook. As announced by the faculty, they will be verifying and they will be the marks. So our knowledge is different thing, which we will get by our own skills. So
All these things top 3 lecture hai. Paper mein nahi.
that's why we won't think that commander is a skilled person.
Because you will get first rank. If you get a first rank, you say, oh, first rank is now let me ask a question here. There are 2 classes, class A, class B. Now, in statement, I can put out class A, class B, class 1. Under class A, same subject, class B, same subject, same topic, same mark, first class learning, the top is around 90%, class rank number 1. Second class learning, the class rank is 85%. How much possible? Possible. Now what happened in second semester? The management might have decided 85% candidate in class A maths. First, rank is రెండో థర్డ్ పోతారు అంతే. అంటే ఏమిటి నవ్వు కానీ వాడు మార్కుల వల్ల ర్యాంక్ రాలేదు. ఇది అవునా కదా? వాడు మార్కుల వల్ల వాడికి ర్యాంక్ రాలేదు. 5 నిమిషాలు రమ్మే చెప్పాడు. మార్క్స్ ఈజ్ ద ఫండమెంటల్ పారామీటర్స్ టు గెట్ ర్యాంక్. Now you say that is not correct. Now think and tell me why this kind of situation happened. Why everybody silent? This can happen in the classroom. First time going there, first time home. What is the cause? ఎక్కడ తప్పు జరిగింది కదా మన ర్యాంకింగ్ సిస్టమ్ అంతా we rank marks ఎప్పుడు కూడా ర్యాంక్ 1 ర్యాంక్ 2 ర్యాంక్ 3 ర్యాంక్ 4 అంటారు అయితే ranks need not be integers ranks can be decimal form లో ఉండొచ్చు you can refer by one of the patent operating like patent it వస్తుంది where I made a ranking system 0 to 1 మధ్యలో ఏ నెంబర్ పెట్టగలము ఏమా 0 to 1 మధ్యలో ఏ నెంబర్ పెట్టగలము కరెక్ట్ ఆన్సర్ ఏ మాట్లాడదాం పెట్టలేవు మా పర్వాలేదా You can place infinite numbers in between 0 to 1. Infinite number. If your ranks are marked in decimal form, this problem will not come. Still we know 0.15 is better than 0.25. We know that because it is an ascending number. Since our ranking system is not correct, we are facing this problem. You can read my patent, it is 1. Okay, let us come here. How many are brilliant? Not only say here, why I say how many, it is not who is the brilliant analyst. How many are brilliant? Data science has to answer this question. How many will really answer? Maybe there are 50, 60 students who then already. How can it say that means we need to have an algorithm to really find out what the parameters that is needed for brilliancy first. That should be fed to the system. Maybe dynamic may be static, but we need to fed to the system. And we need to do suppose smart technical practical paper easy other 90 then we need to have one more certain kind of parameters pattern. If you put those things only to be helpful for doing all these parameters, and we can find out. Then this solve cheyagane pakkana ko solve chestam.
Reasons both students, students,
Okay, this is again prediction problem. What I would like to mention here. You see, always prediction problem means there is x-axis, there is y-axis, there is data. If you see the line something like that, you can predict next it happens like that multiplier. Provided the data completely depends on these two parameters. The external parameter just suppose candidate was 57 error system. I'll come out just a second. Therefore, we need to see those external parameters could run. This is exactly forecasting and prediction. These are only two things. What you can do with data science. Nothing more. All this boils down to come to a conclusion. We need to forecast, we need to predict. There is a difference between forecast and prediction also important. In intuitive solution, data science. Statistics warranty, linear algebra warranty, or whatever science you use, algorithms warranty. Minimum mode when it will start? Mode and get over? Minimum? Random average in the flow, continues 3 times, smoothing the flow, medium. There are various things what we initially apply on our this kind of forecasting to get some initial results. We need to write. You see, most of my algorithms what I develop, nothing from the books, nothing from the previous things. I only develop myself using Reddit. Some of them are published, some of them are not published. You see, my daughter also published on papers in health. And one more thing, you see, one example is a very good example for you people all. People who drive at 10 kilometers speed, people who drive at 100 kilometers. This is problem again. Who will reach safe?
10 kilometers.
Huh?
10 kilometers. No one.
30 kilometers safe chada. But 100 kilometers unsafe the challenge. There is a possibility is there. Can 10 kilometers how can you say it's probability? That means most people who really died with the 100 kilometers speed. Okay. One are the, you see, destination safety, this is what exactly what I mean by question. A person goes 9 kilometers speed, will never face an accident, no doubt on that. 100 kilometers speed, make it an accident. You take confidence in your mind. Understand? In your mind. The next step is the time. Yeah. Yeah, now you see. I put one more condition between road condition. Now, you may have to really rethink again the past predictions. Road condition bad or very good, otherwise. This exactly you study in your neural networks. There is a hybrid of neural networks. There is a input layer, there is an output layer, majorly only layer was there. Any layer was there, any layers. Any layer was there. ఎన్ని ఎక్కువ ఉంటే అంత నేర్పుది కరెక్ట్ ఆన్సర్ వెళ్ళగలరు ఎన్ని ఎక్కువ బట్ వాట్స్ ద డిసడ్వాంటేజెస్ ఎన్ని ఎక్కువ లేకుంటే today's computer is very fast ఎక్కువ మనకు చెప్తుంది storage petabytes produced there. Then Netflix something less than second download this set. That's what a problem. I was just thinking what problem because we number of ways to work. The need to have this and push it just like when you have a lot of number of layers home. It depends upon the accuracy of the data what we collected on each layer. If some layer really makes a nonsense data, it affects on the total set. Therefore, we need to see what is the data mass. The other data science out there, data came into data evaluation, so topics apply. But these things will study how you get the data, how you collect the data, and so forth. When you do that is what I'm saying now is that it not only the fellow's safety of reaching of destination, not only initial or final speed to radio, there is a parameter called load condition. Correct. కరెక్ట్ కదా ఇంకొక పలానా చెప్పండి వెదర్ ఈజ్ ఓకే నెక్స్ట్ ఇంకోటి వెహికల్ కండిషన్ ఒకటి ఇంకా
Percentage.
Huh?
Percentage condition.
వర్షం పడింది రెవల్యూషన్ ఇది విజన్ ఆఫ్ ద బెస్ట్ ఎంత దూరం చూడగలరు సపోజ్ ఒక 5 కిలోమీటర్స్ చూడగలిగిన కెపాసిటీ ఉంటే 100 కిలోమీటర్స్ వెళ్ళొచ్చుకోవాలి But that means what happens is that now we see the first slide introduction of video is definitely parameters key. Now you are deviating now. What is changing between the first slide and this slide? What is the difference of changing or anything what you observe? Are you better? Is better? Is better? Is better actually? And that means we are putting a lot of parameters which gives more accurate data. And they are realistic, they are correct, they are logically correct, mathematically correct, scientifically correct. Therefore, we will conclude this could be correct. That way, data science helps people in doing all these kind of things. That way, people will be gaining using data science. There is no area where data science did not enter today. That how brilliantly you put the data science algorithms to the problem is a question. Right from farming, right from forestry, right from agriculture, right from medicine, every area it is going.
Asma kuda hari ini sabi asli dan nama itu Kami sama proses PTH yang semakin dia akan lebih saya lihat tersebut dengan hasil sampai besok dan mungkin increase time using sensitivity.
See, like this road can whether these are all exactly I'm saying the number of villages are getting larger. Earlier days we could not do it because only one constraint as I told you, we do not have a computation power, we do not have a data storage power, we do not have a programming power also to do this. These things are not there last 10 years, last before 10 years, therefore we could not achieve something which is a pyramid. Today we have entire this thing, we could easily say, today if you see, when you go in a car, the Google pillar is telling you, 5:27 you reach your house. Hardly 1 or 2 minutes this way that will reach your house. You not an error. How could it tell? Yeah, traffic could చూస్తుంది. Traffic తక్కువ. How does this basically test?
License speed and
And that is what it really does is that every vehicle, what is moving, what is using such a Google Maps, the data is being collected by the Google server. It is the same direction if anyone is using Google Maps earlier. It takes his data and analyzes 4 or 5 people earlier. And your data will be sent to the next fellow will send to you. That way it helps a lot of people. Therefore, there is no car without Google Maps in many countries. Every car we go. There you should tell them the next signal person you will waste time waste only. You go slow. You need not drive 60 because you need to stop there for 1 minute. If you go 40 also, you reach the same time. That kind of a suggestions is given in many countries. How could it possible? Only that's beneficial to Kaxilla. All these things are beneficial to the land. They are nothing like that. There are some parts to learn I can't see.
Bueno, సమస్య ఏక దర్శనాన్ని కలిగి స్థానంలో చేయడం సరినా ఏమంటాం సెక్మియా
Now let us come to our problem to what is this to our elderly is. Now everything is color. Color? Okay. What is the problem for them? You see, they work a lot, data set, signals, circuit systems, analysis, modeling, optimizing capabilities. I think most of you might be knowing that the power is being sold every day, different value to pay by our government. Not to see like what we pay to the government. They buy power from a grid, different every day, different times, different price. That is an auction in India. I think most of them are knowing that fact. Therefore, they can really make that kind of changes in doing reducing this kind of things so that they can benefit. That means crores of rupees government can save if they can plan that. You see, in many of the freebies, some of the other places, see, the farmer gets power at night free, not day. Why? You see, industries, offices will shut down in the night. Therefore, lower usage is minimum. When industries office only will use much. There are some industries are 24/7, but many will not work. That way it is beneficial. Like that, the government can decide certain policies that what is to be done, when is to be done, what is to be done, etc.
Everything's something such message on the same cartoon, separately on the secret. And then share with us, yeah.
Why it matters to entering this? You see, many things, why it matters to them is that many things where we can have IoT devices. Today, everybody is speaking IoT. This is nothing but it collects data from place, sends to some place, sensor will take. After that, completion is something again data science. This is a device, physical device, maybe virtual device, which will help from data, puts back to the sample. The huge amount of data, larger amount of data, to get more accurate values. The only solution is that. If you say, I tell you, if you attend the class for 10 days, the teacher may not be able to tell you how noisy you are. But your neighbor in your house will tell because he or she has seen you for last 20 days. That means they have a lot of data. Teachers agree. That way, everything what we see is that data is very important to them. These are various applications where this I don't go into detail. Because if I go into detail, it will be completely irritating. But our area is data science. Therefore, I just touch upon it maybe for translation.
We have that in here. Essentially, I'm saying very well how we should go to such an science simply a terrorism. You can see it all the months here. Recently purchase here, check out them. Non si ringrazio per il suo la finanziaria, per la finanziaria, la finanziaria, appena che non può. Una fera, io credo non si ringrazia, tutto per di una sezione per la non per il scelta di grande. Se non prendi questo grande, devo dire, and the systems that are elements non funzionano di grado, anche c'è un sempre. Data science is
Real world problems, predictive maintenance, machine learning algorithms, power usage optimization, smart homes in AI. Smart homes of AI, can you give an example? Somebody?
Like voice command activates like on the fan or on the lights.
Controlling the temperature before reaching the home.
Before it,
Before we reach the home, we can control the temperature.
temperature, okay, this also okay. There are, okay, that doesn't save the power, what the two things what consumption. What the government gains, it goes the application time, you may gain.
Setting up the lights.
putting off the lights when people are not there. And you see, there was a proposal from the government, people like this, some relatives gave the government. We all agree for this question. We have street lights. They go night from night 6 to morning 6 or 5. They go. Are they necessary to for
Sometimes.
sometimes? Are they necessary? Necessary. Suppose, for example, alternate light glows at 12 rupees, okay? Got it? If a light glows, alternate light, not every street light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lights. 1, 3, 5 will glow from 12 to 2. Next day, 3, 5, 7 will glow. You okay? Fine. How much power will save? Power will save. Why would not do that? We all know, say, I చెప్తుంటా ఉంటే మనగా తెలియదు. If they are important in it, why they are not? Now they will do that in future. Because there is no devices to do that. They should run 2 ways otherwise. Put it together. 2 parallels are here. Suppose if they are primers connected to each light, if they connected, they do that. That is expensive, that they will come. Street light also, any movement in tennis, street light will like that. When you street light night work, some thief or వస్తాడు లేదా మనం ఇస్తే కావాలి కావాలి అంటే that is what otherwise లేదు. Suppose that kind of arrangement is done through an IoT device. Just like many cases we see it's steps on inputs like walkathons ఇవి మనం ఆగిపోయి మనం వెళ్ళి అడుగు వేస్తేనే అని వస్తుంది. కేసు కూడా చాలా మంది అలాగిస్తాయి. Because there is already that kind of intelligence is putting, that kind of sensors are putting there. అది మన లెవెల్ వరకు టెక్నికల్ లెవెల్ వరకు ప్రింటెడ్ అవుతుంది. ఓకే, take some time.
Intersection rate, artificial intelligence Scientific method operation integration which are company
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? There are 2 ways now, as data scientist guy will tell you. If you are not asking any questions, I have to click something that you click something. What I can click something? What I can click?
One question. You do have any application data analysis social media?
Pardon?
Social media application. Data science.
Yes, we have done one work in streets. Yes, sir. See, you can see Sudhar Kushara, Sudhar Sweeney.
Fraud news are there going on spreading every day also. How we can detect that? How we can detect fraud news? Fraud application.
Yeah. We can also direct, positive zero, we are working. Not in a negative way. Not in a fraud fight. We are basically going and working with people mentally request the people to put some posts. I'll give a small example. Many people will feel depressed. They post immediately. I am depressed. I will feel something like that. They post, no doubt on it. It is acceptable in India. If suppose somebody says, I will commit suicide within 10 minutes, what should happen? In Japan, if you write like that, you write a type, I am committing suicide. 2 minutes later, police will be there. And that much they are capturing the data, the social media data, analyzing and identifying the people who really to be at risk. You and myself and my daughter together we are doing that too. We have a happiness index, most of the people know. Global happiness index. We are in the rank of 180 or something like it. This happiness index is social media posts new relation with us. The publishing paper. And one more paper also published about this depressive traits with COVID growth. Both parallel, you can see, not on many. My daughter some Sarasini, you see. These papers will come out how social media also with data science. Remember, this do not be better with the data science and algorithms, some tools will solve and talk. You think of what tool will solve this, what mathematical problem is, because statistics analysis is yeah. All tools you can. That's the reason in case you come in component model sizes, they allow people to first up like the minerals. Physics, that is those things. Therefore, we need to see the basic sciences. Okay, there are any questions? I told the question Japana. What is the then you can I can understand that either you understood fully what they told, or you didn't understand anything what it told. Right, then thank you. Answer give
Thank you very much, sir. It doesn't very interactive question. I know for 3 years, children, anywhere, anytime, any topic you ask him, he'll be ready to present. That's very good thing about him. And even any help asked by anyone, he'll be ready to do it. It will owe you. Anyone that you go to, AU, and University, Visakhapatnam. If you go there, you can surely meet him. He'll be ready to help you. And as the first asked about the social media example, recently we got a gift. Some of our cousins came home and they gifted us Alexa. Because my son's birthday was in the last month. And in this month, it's July. So before the Alexa, when we ask it a question, if we ask it to laugh, it used to laugh. And if we tell something, if we scold something, it used to give the reverse answers, telling that you can end your life. But now the Alexa changed. When my son is asking to laugh, it is laughing very nicely, very cutely. And when and if he is asking to cry, it is telling, I don't understand the question. Any number of times he asked the question, but it is not crying. Only it knows how to laugh. So that is the impact on the devices, technology, regarding the social videos. Thank you, sir. And then we'll now to the lunch. We'll come back at 1. Okay. Sorry. So this is the sir, Basketman, Srilakshman, and Sarvana can join. Also request Ramesh sir to please comment. Mubara sir, please your.
ఇప్పుడు వస్తాను సార్ వెయిట్ అది ఇందాకండి
Nowadays, students, now you have technical training program. Lunch, post lunch, go to the lab. Students are called, okay? And students, please come over the lab hall. Your attendance will be taken here. Okay. రమేష్ వచ్చేసాయండి మీరు లంచ్ శ్రీకాంత్ మీ ఇద్దరే కదా మీరు ఇంకొక ఆయన రాడు కదా మీ ఇద్దరే కదా ఏం శ్రీకాంత్ ఏమంటారు మేడం మరి
ఏం ఆఫీస్
ఓకే